Hi, Riser Arkin. Yes, magicians. So I know this is like the third magician deck we've done here, which thank you for all the subscribers, thank you for all the views, thank you for the likes, thank you for the comments. You guys are really awesome. Um, I don't want you to get bored of magicians. We're always going to be constantly updating the decks too. But this goes more into a control OTK version of the deck. And we're going to talk about it a little bit. This is the deck that my wife Tara mains. And it's a great deck. She didn't want to do the deck profile because she's a little camera shy. So I'm here. But don't worry, we'll go over this together. Are you ready for the journey? So I want to talk to you about this specific Dark Magician build. And we're not just going to talk about the main deck and the extra deck. I do want to talk about the side deck because I feel like this side deck is kind of really specific to this main deck right here and some of the things that you can side out to side in depending on what you're playing against. Because one thing is for certain, this deck has a lot of spicy tech. A lot of spicy tech, and I want to talk about it. Let's first talk about the main deck, and you are playing 3 of your Dark Magicians. The deck can work with 2, but the reality is 3 Dark Magicians in order to loop your summons are really important when you get to your Eternal Soul. You are playing 2 Dark Magician Girls because what is the master without his apprentice? I really do believe that playing Dark Magician Girl at anything less than 2 with this specific deck build, I wouldn't do it. In all honesty, I think 2 is the right amount. I wanted to do 3, but I took out some cards in the extra deck so that she wasn't really viable at 3, but she's really good at 2 now. 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon. You can imagine what that is for, because every one of my Magician builds does use Dragoon. I think he's a great boss monster. One day, I think he won't be as much of a boss monster. He may even get banned soon. Who knows, but I'm hoping not. 2 Apprentice Illusion Magician. And again, she is amazing because you can pitch any card from your hand to special summon her to add a Dark Magician monster, well, a Dark Magician, from your deck to your hand. And she works as a hand trap. She doesn't target, but she adds at the damage step 2,000 attack to a Dark Spellcaster. Now, you're all going to groan and you're all going to sigh, and I'm very, very sorry. But we are playing Magician Souls 2 in this deck. And the reason being 2 and not 3 and not 1 is because with Magician Souls, you want to dump your Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl into the graveyard in order to utilize them for your other summons, because your 3 big bads in this deck are Dark Dragoon, Quinten Magician, and your, well, there's a special one that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But those are the boss monsters. I want to talk about some of the normal summons, because this deck does have actually quite a bit of normal summons. It does use Berry Magician Girl, and it does use Chocolate Magician Girl. And these are really to fuel your graveyard. So when Berry is normal summoned, she can search out any other Magician Girl, and that does include Dark Magician Girl. but your target for that is going to be Chocolate. She also has the ability, if she is targeted for an attack or for an effect, she goes into defense mode, and then she summons out another Magician Girl from the deck, which could be, again, Chocolate or your Dark Magician Girl. We're not running any other Magician Girls in this deck. Now, Chocolate pitches a spellcaster from your hand in order to draw. Also, if she is attacked, she redirects her attack to a spellcaster, any level, to the graveyard, special summons that spellcaster, and then halves your opponent's monster's attack. So she's really good to use in a pinch to feed your graveyard and as kind of like a defense. Another normal summon that we have in this is Magician's Rod at 2, because he does. And we're using a lot of spells and traps that pertain to the Dark Magician. So when he's normal summoned, he can actually search out a spell or trap that specifically designates Dark Magician from the deck and add it to your hand. This does not work with Eye of Timaeus. Eye of Timaeus specifically states Dark Magician monsters. And the reason why Eye of Timaeus specifically states Dark Magician monster is so that you can use it with Dark Magician Girl. He also has a secondary effect that does come up a lot in all of my Dark Magician builds. If you activate a spell or trap on your opponent's turn when he's in the graveyard, he can actually tribute one of your spellcasters to come back to your hand. So he constantly searches. We also run 3 Keepers of Dragon Magic because he searches out a lot of our fusion spells, and we actually have 3 searchable fusion spells in this deck. So you pitch a card on his normal summon to grab a fusion card from the deck to your hand, and then he can special summon a fusion material by revealing one of your fusion monsters, like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So I can special summon Dark Magician or Red Eyes Black Dragon from the graveyard in face down defense position as his secondary effect. He's great for link summoning as well, but he is like one of your best normal summons. And here's a little bit of the tech. It kind of goes along with the thing that's in the extra deck, is we are running 1 copy of Shaddoll Dragon. So before you ask, yeah, we're using a window lock in this deck. So with Shaddoll Dragon, the reason why he's in here is he does return any card back to the owner's hand when he's flipped. Also, when he's sent to the graveyard via card effect, he can pop back row. That's why he's in here. He's in here for Winda as well, because there are times where you can use him for fusion. So we have Monster Reborn, which is a great extender, and it also can bring back your Winda. We are using Magician's Restage in order to summon back one of your level 3 or lower spellcasters, which you do run 4 of those. 6 level 3 or lower spellcasters. So with Magician's Restage, what it does is when you play it, you can summon back, and it's just once per duel. It even says once per duel, you can special summon one of your spellcasters that are level 3 or lower from the graveyard back to the field, and that can be an extender right there. Now, if it ever leaves the field, you can actually search out your Magician's right hand and your Magician's left hand. Both of these, when you have spellcaster monsters on the field, you are able to negate the first spell that's played or negate the first trap that's played. So when you have Red Eyes Dragoon on the field, these are fantastic from stopping your opponent from using any, and I do mean any, spells or traps. And then Dark Magical Circle, As you know, it searches the first three top cards of your deck. If you have Dark Magician or a spell or trap that pertains to Dark Magician, you are then able to add it to your hand. It also banishes cards on your opponent's side of the field when Dark Magician is summoned to your side of the field. So, it's a great card to draw. You get to dig into your deck a little bit, and you're able to banish stuff. That's part of the control. Now we're going to go into our fusion cards. Of course, as you know, one copy for Red Eyes Fusion, because you got to give Predaplant something to chew on. Instant Fusion. This is actually how we're cheating Winda out of the deck. You're going to see there's a lot of life point plays in this deck, but that's okay. Magical Eyes Fusion. So these three cards can be searched from your deck by one of your three keepers of Dragon Magic, because they all have fusion in the title. I will be very honest, though. Most of the time, you'll be either hard drawing them or searching them with Keeper of Dragon Magic. You will not be using more than just Red Eyes Fusion with your Predaplant Verde Anaconda. Now, there might be a point in which, yeah, you could, if your Anaconda stays alive, but there's a follow-up play with your Anaconda that really works out in this deck. Two Secrets of Dark Magic. And with Secrets of Dark Magic, this is great because you can fusion or ritual with this card as long as you have a Dark Magician or a Dark Magician Girl as one of the materials. You can use it. Winda, it's real generic. One Shadal monster and one Dark monster. So if you have Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl in your hand, with Secrets of Dark Magic, you can actually get to Winda. This cannot be searched or played through Keeper of Dragon Magic or Predaplant Verde Anaconda, which is really sad, but your Rod can search it because it does specifically list Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. But the fact that it lists Dark Magician is good. Now, this one, however, has to be hard drawn. There's no other way to get to it, is the Eye of Timaeus. But, as you know, you can cheat out any Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl fusion from your extra deck by playing Eye of Timaeus on a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl that you control. So, beyond that, we also play one Called by the Grave. One day this will come back to unlimited, maybe. Maybe. It stops hand traps. It takes a card out of the graveyard, banishes it, and then for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate its effects. It's great for hand traps. It really, really is. It's also great to clear up some graveyard. Now, this deck is super trap heavy. We play 2 Magician Circle, and the reason why we play Magician Circle is whenever a spellcaster monster declares an attack during the battle phase, you can activate this and summon a spellcaster of 2,000 attack or less, which you can then go into your Apprentice Illusion Magician to summon her to add Dark Magician to your hand. And then, if you wanted to, you could pop off with Eternal Soul or with Magician's Navigation. Now, the reason why we're playing 3 navigations in this deck simply is because this deck can be used for Dragoon to pitch, and then on your next turn from the graveyard, it can be used to negate a spell or trap activation. It's not once per turn either. Think about that. It also allows you to summon Dark Magician and one other level 7 or lower dark spellcaster monster, which is great. You can actually combo all 3 of these during the battle phase after they've been set, the turn after they've been set. And that becomes awesome when you want to spam your field with spellcasters. And then we play 2 judgments, or 1 judgment, 2 strikes for any sort of special summon or effect shenanigans. Because sometimes half of your life points, or 1,500, is more than enough to pay. Now, this deck really does. It really does do a lot of the, hey, I'm going to spend more than all of my life points in order to stop stuff. But sometimes, and I mean, it works. Now, I do want to talk about the side deck real quick before we get into the extra deck, because I think it's important. However, I think it's also just as important to talk about the cards that can be sided. Because talking about the cards that you can side and talking about the cards that you can side into are just as important. Depending on what deck you're playing against, all 9 of these cards can be substituted for something out of the side deck. Because sometimes you're not going to have super spell and trap heavy cards. Sometimes you don't need to go into your extenders and you need to play more of a grind game. Sometimes you don't need this many Magician navigations. Sometimes half your life points is too much. And sometimes summoning during the battle phase of your or your opponent's turn is not necessarily the thing that you need to do. Sometimes you need to stop your opponent during certain plays. So, I have thought about it, and these 9 cards can be sided out. This is a 15-card side deck, and I'm going to go over it real fast. We're playing 3 Ash Blossom, Enjoy Spring, because Ash Blossom, although it's one of the better hand traps, right now it doesn't have a whole lot of play going on, and some decks can even play through Ash Blossom, but sometimes you can hit Ash Blossom just right. 1 Droll and Lockbird, because that, again, is a very powerful card. Artifact Lancia, really great for dinos, real great against Drytron. It's a great card to stop your opponent from doing things. Dragon Link can sometimes really get hurt to Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. That and Phantasme can be used with Secrets of Dark Magic in order to get out your Dark Dragoon. Nibiru, because sometimes counting to 5 is the thing that it's your best friend. Psychic Eraser Laser, it removes 1 boss monster. They gain life points equal to that boss monster's attack and defense, whatever's higher. Twin Twisters, because sometimes instead of prevention, you need just removal. And then 2 Crackdowns, because you can take a monster and use it for link material. And I wanted to talk about the side deck because I feel like with today's meta, your side deck really does make or break your deck. But when we do the combo videos, we're going to be using the main deck as I had shown it. Now, for the extra deck, let's go into the fusions. We got 1 copy of Dragoon, which allows you to negate once, and once per turn during the main phase, during your main phase, you can destroy non-targeted destruction of monster cards and cause burn damage equal to the original attack of that monster, which is fantastic. Quinten Magician. If you fuse this thing with 5 spellcasters of different names, you can blow your opponent's field. It also can't be used. It's got Kaiju protection, It can't be linked off. It can't be fused, so it has super poly protection. Literally is protected even from destruction. And with a 4500 body, that is awesome. The Dark Magicians, which the Dark Magicians, you can fuse it with Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl and any one other spellcaster. When it's destroyed, you can summon out Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. Also, when you or your opponent play a spell or a trap, you can draw a card. If it's a spell or trap, you can set it, and if it's a quick play spell or trap, you can activate it that turn. That is paramount sometimes. Dark Magician the Dragon Knight, which does allow, so it protects back row. You can't destroy back row. It's always considered as Dark Magician. It doesn't need to be fusion summoned, so you can do a lot of Eternal Soul shenanigans with this guy to pop stuff and then keep your field safe. Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight, because she is just spot removal by feeding your graveyard. Discard a card, quick effect. You can destroy one face-up card on the field. Amulet Dragon banishes cards from either player's graveyard, and then he gains 100 attack per each card. There has to be a minimum of 1, however. So he's really good to go into. Just needs Dark Magician and a Dragon. Just needs Dark Magician Girl and a Dragon. Just needs Dark Magician and a Dragon. So it is very accessible in this deck. Dark Paladin, this is the one that really you need to play Eye of Timaeus on. He is a single spell negate. He also gains attack and defense for dragons that are in the graveyard and on the field. So he's, good against Dragon Link. And then more spicy tech. El Shaddai Winda. Winda doesn't allow you or your opponent to special summon more than once. Also cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Can recur Shaddai spells and traps. However, in this deck, that's not really going to be necessary. Going into the Exceeds, we've got Red Eyes Flare Metal, so that you can go into this, bring back your Red Eyes Black Dragon, and if you needed to, fuse off into one of the other fusions I've shown. Also, keeping an Exceeds material on this will allow him to do 500 burn damage for everything your opponent plays. Any effect at all whatsoever, 500, 500, 500. He also can't be destroyed by card effect as long as he has an Exceeds material. And then, Ebon Illusion Magician, when you detach Exceeds material from him, he brings one level 7 normal spellcaster monster from the deck or from your hand, and when that spellcaster declares an attack, it will banish the thing that it's attacking. Links. Link Rebo, because you play 3 one level monsters, can make any one monster's attack 0, and he can tribute level 1 monsters on the field to recur itself from the graveyard. Protoplant Verde Anaconda allows you to spend 2,000 life points and send cards from the deck to the graveyard in order to activate their effects and fuse with it. It also can turn monsters dark once per turn, but that rarely comes up. Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, whenever she's summoned, you count how many spells are active on the field and in either player's graveyard, and she gains that many counters. Once per turn, she can remove up to 3 counters and special summon a spellcaster in face-up defense position. Then from here, Apollousa, Bow of the Goddess. For every monster that's used to link into her, she gains 800 attack. You can then spend 800 of her attack to negate monster effects. So, really good card to have. And then Skuldred. Link 4. For every monster that you use to link for Skuldred, you can special summon cards to wherever this zone points to, and it gains 300 attack and defense during your main phase. Okay, yeah. So cards that are normal and special summoned gain the 300 attack. You can special summon things from your hand to a zone that it points to. Also, when this card is link summoned, you can draw 4 cards and then place 3 of them from your hand on the bottom in any order on your deck. This helps fix your hand and get to things quicker, helps negate your opponent's monsters, helps bring your spellcasters back like Winda, helps fuse, helps protect your life points, and link climb. Stay tuned for Wednesday. We're going to go over the combos and how to actually establish boards. This deck has established combos. Also, this week we're not going to do a pick a deck because Zach wants to come back and show off one of his most powerful decks. But still, please follow me on TikTok because I do want to hear back from you. I would love feedback. Any sort of feedback is good feedback. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up. It can be a thumbs down. I am stealing that line, oh my gosh, from Random Black Gamer. I am so sorry, RBG. I love you to death. I didn't mean that, just came out so natural. Any constructive criticism is good criticism. That's what I'm going to say. And I'd love interaction on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.